it's just a start. We're just getting moving around, so hard to tell. I do think all three of them look a little bit stronger, a little bit more explosive, moving better, a little bit more command of the huddle. But we'll watch the film and kind of go from there. You know, day one without pads is kind of hard, so you know, we'll have a better feel here. Give me about 4 or 5 days and get a better idea. The first drive in the game, the first play of a drill sets the tone, and we wanted to set the tone as the first practice of the year. You know, it seemed like we had good energy out there. A lot of guys getting a lot of reps, and what we try to do is we try to, especially early on, get as many people as many reps as possible, especially with a group that hasn't played as much football as this group. So there's no way to supplement experience and reps. So that's what we're trying to do. So we were getting 48 plays during one period by splitting up the work, and that's good because our guys need that, and that's important. You know, as you guys, we've talked about this the last couple of years. Once we get into practice, 4, 5, 6, then we start to get together on one field, but you're just not getting as many reps. So that's why we try to do that and get as many people, as many reps as we can. We'll get on film. I'm not sure about the execution, but it felt like the effort was there. But one challenge for our team is to learn to practice without pads on. It's really important. Guys have to stay off the ground and take care of each other, but we also have to be competitive. And I say to these guys all the time, you want to be in an NFL camp, you need to learn to practice without pads on. If you're on the ground in an NFL camp, you're going to find yourself cut really fast because, NFL organizations are investing a lot of money in these guys. Well, it's not much different anymore, in college. So we've got to take care of each other, and that is a big deal. We have to learn to practice well and smart and efficient, and so that's a part of a young team. But I thought the effort was there. When you spend your career on a vision of what you want and the goal, once you accomplish it, there's certainly a feeling of accomplishment. But soon after that, it's on to the next thing, and that's what the case was. And it was great to see our players, our coaches, turn the page on that and move forward. I think this team, has their own identity. They want to have their own identity, yet they also want to be the first team ever to win back-to-back national championships at Ohio State. And that's going to start with the first game against Texas. Right, staying in there as a quarterback, you want everybody in that huddle to believe in you. You want them to follow your command. I mean, that's a big part of it. Then taking care of the football, making routine plays routinely, getting us into the right play. And that's one of the things last year that I feel like Will probably doesn't get enough credit for, was all the little things that kept the offense moving. Sometimes it's throwing the ball away to keep us on schedule. And then I say it all the time, ultimately as a quarterback, third down, red zone, 2 minutes is where you make your money. But we have good pieces around them, and they just need to make routine plays routinely, have command, and make great decisions. And if they can do that and move the team down the field to score touchdowns, then they're going to give us a chance to win.
At least for now.
Yeah. One of the things that you have to do is you have to plan accordingly. And I was just talking about this on the radio that, when we took the injury with Simmons in the Oregon game, that was a big blow. We're talking about a first-round draft pick at left tackle, and then so Donovan had to go then move the tackle, and so that wasn't easy, as we know, going into the game and having go against Carter. And then when we lost McLaughlin, that was a major shot. And so now you're moving Donovan. Now you have 3 guys in new spots. Now Carson played before, but not really much that season. So and that took us a couple of weeks. And it wasn't just that, but we ended up losing a game in there and kind of restructuring it a little bit and kind of recalibrating a little bit, sort of like we did in the Oregon game after we lost that game on defense. And I think some of that is going to be part of injuries. When you're playing as many games as you have, you're going to have to build depth, and you're going to have to adjust as the season goes on. And I think that's going to be a big part of the season this year, just like it was last year. So we try to do everything we can. We want to make sure that we can practice, because we have to simulate a game, especially when you're playing a game like we are in the opener. I mean, we have to, iron sharpens iron, we gotta get better, we gotta get ready to roll, we gotta tackle well, we gotta take care of the football, all those things. But we also have to learn how to practice with each other to keep each other safe.
The way you do this all.
I think every time you have a quarterback, you learn a little more. Every year you learn just a little bit, and every quarterback I've been around, you take something from. And I would say Will's probably extraordinary trait physically was his size. He was big in there, but he did have an extraordinary leadership style, and his mindset was definitely unique to him. But I try to tell these guys all the time, like, you have to learn something from the guys that you were here before. Both Julian and Lincoln both saw Will lead. You don't have to be Will Howard though, you gotta be yourself. And that's just how it works. You have to be you, but you also have to lead and take command. So there are certainly things that you learn from and things that you grab onto and recognize things that helped us win a championship. And certainly Will had some of those things, but no two quarterbacks are the same. And so it's maximizing each guy and challenging them in those areas. And a big part of that's gonna be leadership. The plan is not to do that here in the preseason, but to turn the heat up, yeah, the heat's on constantly. I'll make sure of that. But in terms of when the pads get on and feeling real bullets come by them, we're not going to hit them in the pocket. They did handle that in the spring, and that was good. I think it changed them a little bit in their perspective. Going into the game, you certainly would like to have a starter named, and each competition is a little bit different. If we have to go in with multiple quarterbacks, then that's probably not a great thing going into week one, but you never know. You gotta do what's best you can to win the game. So they're gonna have every opportunity they can to win the job. And sometimes based on the locker room, the guys on the team know what's going on. So we'll do everything we can to make sure we win the first game. Whoever gives us the best chance to win that, and then we'll go from there. But you just, with a young room like that, you have to predict that you're gonna need everybody in the room. So the development's gotta be on a daily basis for all three of them.